Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Warshack with RGC, and today we're going to go over how to build your mage deck in Arena. I know picking one card out of 3 can be quite difficult. We can get frustrated, we can even shed a tear, but I'm here to help you pick the right cards to get yourself in a high ranking position in Arena so we all can be happy. With that said, I'm going to go over the common cards you should pick from all the way up to the legendary cards you can pick from. There's quite a few common cards that I find are good in Arena decks, so I'm going to go over them a little bit fast, explain a little bit about them and why you should pick them, but I'm not going to sit on them too long. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot a comment below and I'll answer them. But as I said, I'm going to make this as quick and simple as possible. Moving to a not so big creature, but has big potential, the Mana Worm. It's a 1/3 for 1 drop. It's something you can play on turn 1 or 2 easily. Every time you play a spell, it gains +1 attack, so it's a card that your opponents are going to want to get rid of almost immediately. With the Acidic Swamp Ooze, this is a 2-drop, 3 attack, 2 health, destroys your opponent's weapon. This is good against Shaman, Paladin, Warrior, Rogues. Definitely goes 1 for 1, and if it doesn't go 1 for 1, it goes 2 for 1. Good card. From here, we're going to move along to the Berserker. It's got 2 attack and 3 health, and then when it takes damage, it goes up to 3 more attack, so it turns into a 5/2 when it's taking damage. This is good because also your passive does that 1 damage, so you throw down this 2-drop. On the 3rd turn, you can ping it for 1 damage, and it turns into a 5/2. It's a big, beefy creature really early on in the game. Another good cheap monster card that's good to pick up that would be quite annoying to your opponent would be the Fairy Dragon. It's a 2-drop for 3/2, and it can't be targeted by your opponent's spell cards, which is quite nice for it to stay alive. Your opponent actually has to kill it with one of their creatures. We're going to move along to the Acolyte of Pain. This is a good card to pick in a mage deck just because of your passive. Your passive is use 2 mana, deal 1 damage to anything. That 1 damage should go to the Acolyte of Pain when it's on the field because you can draw 1 for every time this creature takes damage. From here, we're going to move into Raging Worgen. This is a 3/3 for 3, and then when it takes damage, it goes a +1 attack, and it gains Wind Fury, which means it can attack twice in 1 turn. So, you play it on turn 3. If they don't kill it, you're going to use your Fireball, sack 2 mana, deal 1 damage to it. It turns into a 4/2 that can swing twice. So you can attack them directly and then the second time take out a creature if they have one, or you can swing twice. That's 8 damage in 1 turn on turn 4. From here we have the Sun Cleric. It's a 3-drop, 3/2, gives a creature +1/+1. It's a good card to buff up your other creatures, and it having a 3/2 for 3 isn't bad with the buff it's going to give your other creature. From here we have the Water Elemental. It's a 4-drop, 3/6. And whenever something attacks it or it attacks, that card gets frozen. So it's really good against decks that require weapons to attack, like Warriors, Shamans, and Rogues. You attack their main guy, they can no longer attack with that main guy and use their weapon. So it's really nice, it's quite frustrating for your opponent, and it's a good 4-drop to play. To add a little silence in the deck, the Spellbreaker isn't a bad card to pick. It's a 4-drop for 4/3, not the best attack or defense for 4 drops, but it does have a silence. From here, we're going to move into a taunt creature, Shieldmaster. He's a 4-drop for 3/5. He's just like the Yeti, but instead of having 4 attack, he's got 3, but he adds taunt to it. Moving from here, we go to the Chillwind Yeti. This is a very good card as well. It's a 4-drop for 4/5. No ability, but on turn 4, having a 4 attack and 5 health creature is quite annoying, and it is a bitch to get rid of. A Dark Iron Dwarf. This is a 4-drop for 4 attack, 4 HP, and then it gives one of your creatures on your side of the field a buff for +2 attack. This is quite nice to do that little extra damage or to take out somebody on your opponent's side that has that taunt with the high. From here, we're going to move on to the Mercenary. This is a huge creature. It's a 5-drop, which is extremely cheap for a 7/6. That is absolutely retarded, and if your opponent does not get rid of this card, it's definitely going to put a hurting on their face. The only problem with this card and its drawback is the fact that every creature from now on you play costs 3 more. But since you're playing a mage deck, half the cards in your deck are spells anyway, so playing creatures really isn't a big deal when this guy's on the field. So you just play this guy, and then you play spells afterwards until he dies, and your opponent's going to want to kill him quickly and waste all their big cards to get rid of him because he's a 7/6. And that gives you an opportunity to build up your hand, play your spells, and get rid of some of your opponent's CC. From here, we're going to move into the Silverhand Knight. This is a good card. It's a 5-drop for 4/4, and then summons another 2/2 with it. Gets your field up there, puts cards down to make your opponent have to make plays against them. If not, they're going to take a beating next turn. We're going to go to the Berserker's Big Brother. It's a 2/7. Whenever it takes damage, it gains 3 attack. This normally doesn't really seem that good, but because you're playing a mage deck in Arena, it becomes quite awesome. So you play this card, you leave it there a turn. If they don't kill it, they're going to regret that decision, because next turn you're going to use your Fireball, sack 2 mana, deal 1 health to it. It's going to turn into a 5/6. So now you're going to swing with a 5, and if they don't kill it that turn, it's going to become even a bigger nuisance, because you're going to use your little Fireball again on it, and it's going to turn into an 8/5. And every turn that they don't do something, you're going to give it 3 more attack if you'd like, and sack 1 health for that. Or you can ping it with 1 with your Fireball. Moving to Boulder Fist Org, this is a great 6-drop. It's a 6/7. Doesn't have any ability, but it's a giant freaking stone your opponents need to deal with almost immediately, because that 6 damage it does is quite deadly, and then the 7 health to follow it back up, it makes it really hard to kill without CCing it in some sort of way. Moving to the spells to definitely pick up if it gives you the option to. Frostbolt, this is another really good card to pick. It's a 2-drop, deal 3 damage, and also freeze that card. With that said, freeze, if it doesn't kill it, the freeze is going to buy you the time, so next turn you can play the cards that you need to kill it. When we move on to Arcane Intellect, it's a 3-drop, draw 2 cards. It's a nice card to play early on to get good card advantage, or it's good to play later on and get back the card advantage you may have lost. Cone of Cold, it's a 4-drop, freeze a character and the characters next to it, along with dealing 1 damage to them. This is extremely effective at versing rush decks, or to buy yourself some time so you can play your 5-drop the next turn. From here, we're going to move into Fireball. This is an extremely good card for a mage deck. I think it's his bread and butter. If a Fireball comes up, you pick that card immediately. This is a 4-drop, deals 6 damage. That is absolutely retarded. No other deck has that, and because of that, you're going to definitely pick it. Promise me you're going to pick it. Make sure you pick it. Fireball is good. Do not deny the Fireball. From here, we have Polymorph. This is definitely a good card to pick up if it gives you the opportunity to. This card pretty much says whatever your opponent plays, I don't really like it, I'm going to get rid of it because I can, and I'm going to turn it into a 1/1 sheep. Moving to Flame Strike, this card is extremely effective at field clear. It is a 7-drop, deal 4 damage to your enemy's entire side of the field. This is absolutely retarded and ridiculous. From here, we're going to move on to the rares to pick from. The Knife Juggler. This isn't super essential in the mage deck, but if there's no better pick, this is a decent pick. It's a 2-drop, 3/2. Whenever you summon a card, he shoots another random card on your opponent's side with a 1 damage little knife. He's annoying, your opponent's going to want to get rid of him, but as I said, he's not super essential to this deck, but he's decent to pick up if you've got no better choices. From here, we have the Questing Adventurer. This is a 3-drop, 2/2. Whenever you play a card, it gets +1/+1. So if you can play him on turn 3 and they don't kill him immediately, turn 4, follow up with maybe 1 to 3 cards, and it's going to make him a 4/4 to a 5/5, and then he's going to be something that they're going to have to deal with, and if not, he's only going to get bigger from there. And Azure Drake is an extremely good card to pick. It's a 4-drop, draw 1 card, and all of your spells do +1 damage. Another good rare for you to pick up that's extremely fun and will definitely cause your opponent some headache will be the Gadgetzan Auctioneer. It's a 5-drop, 4/4. Every time you play a spell, you're going to draw 1 card. So you may not be able to draw 1 as soon as you play it, but next turn, when you have full mana again, you're going to be able to play spells on spells on spells, and you'll be able to draw and draw and draw. A decent spell rare for you to pick up would be Counterspell. It's a 3-drop, stop the next spell your opponent plays. Most mages don't really play this card. I find it extremely useful. Definitely if you've just summoned a big creature on the field, you don't want it to die, and they're probably going to want to get rid of it immediately. So they're going to polymorph, swipe, wraith, whatever they can do to get rid of it. So with that, your Counterspell will stop them. Another good rare for you to pick up would be Argus the Defender. You play this card, the 2 adjacent minions next to it get +1/+1 along with Taunt. This is really well to buff up your creatures, or if you're facing a rush deck. Another good card would be Blizzard. It's a 6-drop, do 2 damage to all of your opponent's minions along with freezing them. So if it doesn't kill them, it's going to buy you enough time for your next turn to be able to finish them off if you need that little survivability for a little bit. There's not a lot of these epic cards to pick from that are really good in a mage deck. There's Pyroblast, which is my favorite and I think the best out of the ones you can pick for a mage deck. It's a 10-drop, deal 10 damage. I cannot tell you how many times I've won because of Pyroblast. From this, we have the Manipulator. It's a 5-drop for 3/3. It sounds terrible, but it copies any card on the field. So let's say they have a Ragnaros on the field. You play that card, it turns into the Ragnaros. You end your turn, your Ragnaros now kills their Ragnaros. They have no Ragnaros. You have a Ragnaros. How many times can you say Ragnaros in 10 seconds? From here, we're going to move to the Big Game Hunter. He's a 4-drop for 4/2. Again, doesn't sound that great, but he takes out a card on your opponent's field with 7 or more attack. So if they have something crazy on the field, like I said, a Ragnaros or a Gruul, this will definitely kill that without a problem, and it only costs 4 mana. So he's not a bad card to pick from if you've got no other cards to choose from. We're going to move to the Legendary cards. There's a little bit more variety in there of what's good. With the Epics, there weren't as many cards that were really vital to a Mage deck that you want to pick over some other cards, but there's a little bit more leeway with the Legendaries. If you come across a Ragnaros, you're definitely going to pick Ragnaros first. He is a great card. He's an 8-drop for 8/8. Do 8 damage at the end of your turn to a random card on your opponent's side, including them directly. Moving to the Black Knight, he's a 6-drop, 4 attack, 5 health. Not the best stats, but his ability allows him to kill a taunt card on your opponent's side of the field. This is really nice if they've got a high-level taunt card like an 8/8. He can get rid of that, automatically going 1/1, making him a valuable card. Windrunner, she's really nice. She's a 6-drop for 5/5, has a death rattle, lets you take a random enemy card when she dies. So when she's alive, she's going to kill something, automatically making her go 1/1. And then when she dies, she's going to take a card, making your opponent have 1 less, so now she has a 2/1. And with that card, you're going to probably kill another opponent's card. So she's a 3/1. This card's extremely good, and if you have a chance, definitely pick her up. Moving to Ysera, she's a 9-drop for 4 attack, 12 HP. That's extremely high HP, so it makes her really hard to kill. It's a decent attack, so she can definitely still kill stuff, and at the end of your turn, you get an extra card. That is absolutely freaking ridiculous. If you have the ability to pick this card up and you get her, you're going to definitely do very well in Arena. But just for the pure fact, as soon as you play her, she goes 1/1 because she gives you a card, and she's probably not going to die because she has retarded HP, unless they have a polymorph or something. From her, we're going to move over to Hogger. He's a 6-drop for 4/4, summon a 2/2 with taunt at the end of the turn. So he's a summon, play 1 creature, get 2 out of it. Every turn he stays alive. Hopefully he can stay alive because the taunts they bring out can get quite annoying if they don't deal with him right away. As we move on to Bloodhoof, he's a 6-drop for 4/5. His stats aren't all that great, but his death rattle makes him very viable. When he dies, he comes back pretty much as himself again as another 4/5, so he reincarnates and your opponent has to deal with him twice. If he gets silenced, this card isn't as effective, but most of the time you're able to get him off without being silenced, and he goes definitely 1/1, if not 2/1. Moving to our last legendary, we have the Archmage. He's a 7-drop, 5/7. Whenever you cast a spell, you put a fireball in your hand. This is extremely nice because guess what? Your mage deck is filled with spells, and every time you play one, you're going to get a fireball back in your hand. And then when you play a fireball, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get a fireball and replace it with a fireball. As soon as you play this guy, you'll pretty much be able to play 2 fireballs a turn if you don't have anything else to play. With that, hopefully this gave you a little bit more insight on what cards you probably should be picking instead of some cards you might have been picking before. If you have any comments, questions, or maybe even a hint for me to allow you guys to understand this better, throw it in the comment section below. A like or dislike is always welcomed, and you can even check out some of our other videos. I do have a Mage Deck guide, a Hunter guide, a Rush Warlock guide, a Druid guide. I have all those available to you on our channel, so feel free to take a look at those and also leave feedback. Finishing up here, this is Warshack from Recon Gaming.
Hello everyone, this is Warshack, and today we're going to go over my Mage deck in Hearthstone. Before I jump into a game real quick and show you guys a little bit about this Mage deck, I'm just going to go over the deck list just in case anybody wanted to know what's in it and how to